You doing a what?
There's a dip in the sofa, which where I lay and watch TV. There's a curve, and you're in the dip.
I'm in the dip. That made me feel smaller, I think. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. The news today, I've only just woken up late, so she was up bright and early, made a video on her channel, and she says the latest news, which is obviously a fake puff piece, fake puff piece, if you ask me, in my opinion, is that Harry and Meghan have asked the King if they can go back to be working members of the royal family, and the King said yes, on the grounds that they're $28 million in the red.
The article actually uses the word begged. They begged.
Another way of saying that, of course, is they need bailing out to the tune of $28 million. And maybe they won't be coming back, because I can't see them coming back. But everyone's got their own sort of angle on this, because who could possibly have leaked this story? It's got to have come from...
I know, it's a strange one, isn't it? Because you wouldn't think Meghan or Harry would want anybody to know that they're in debt.
Especially not to the tune of 28 million.
To me, it comes across as maybe someone who works for them, who's witnessed a lot of heated and stressful conversations, and that they have quite immaturely leaked the actual truth, the situation. And they're probably going to get fired any minute now by Meghan. That's the only type of person I can think. It's either a journalist making shit up, or it's someone naive who's just thought, let's just tell the world the truth. Enough with the puff piece of this, that and the other. Let's just tell the world the truth. You're in debt by 28 million. You know, a well-meaning sort of someone who works for them. That's the only kind of person I can think would say a thing like that.
Yeah, I think it's obviously exaggerated. It was like the Spotify and the Netflix. Oh, we got 100 million here, 100 million there. Bollocks. It's all bollocks. I don't believe a word of it. I think it's all nonsense. I think it's been put out there to make the King feel sorry for them and bail them out with a heap of cash. That's what I think, but I might be wrong. You know, I can't see the King inviting them back, can you? So they can push in front of him on public events and things.
Yeah, we've just been watching, actually, the old footage of Harry and Meghan at the 50th anniversary of the Prince of Wales investitures. I don't know if you guys remember, she wore a white coat, very nice outfit actually. She was heavily pregnant. Okay, she was pregnant, and
appeared to be pregnant.
She had a white sort of satin silk dress with a rather nice pattern on it, and it appeared that she wanted to enter the room ahead of the Prince of Wales as he was then,
and the Queen,
and she wanted to be with the Queen, and she wanted to. And then it seemed like Charles had said to her, no, or what the hell are you doing, Harry? Why are you two standing here? And she'd sort of said, oh, well, I want to go in. And he'd said, no. And then she tried again, and he turned around, no. And then he looked really...
There is a pecking order, you know. The Queen walked into the room first with the Prince of Wales, and then William and Kate behind them, and then Harry and Meghan behind them. But Meghan was trying to get in the room first.
That's the way it appeared.
In front of the Queen.
Then as some sort of... I don't know, I think he was probably the Queen's bodyguard or something, sort of muscled in and appeared to prevent them, waiting for Charles, Camilla, William and Catherine to enter. And then this guard and another palace courtier seemed to sort of steer them to the back of the room, where Meghan still appears to be protesting that she wants to be at the front. I mean...
And then when the Queen and Prince Charles walked to the table to look at whatever these items were that were displayed, she's walking down looking and commenting, and then William and Kate were behind them, and then Harry and Meghan are supposed to be behind them, but they overtook them behind the table.
And then you see
and they were heading for the door, they got stopped.
And then you see the Queen really shoot a look over, like she's looking as if to, and she looks at Charles as if to say, what's the matter? What's going on now? What's happening? Yeah. And then the Queen leaves the room, and again this palace courtier and this sort of soldier, and I think another one joined in, just to prevent Meghan.
Barging in.
And their sort of awkward British body language. How do we actually stop her from doing this? So, and she did the same thing with Harry the other night at that, whatever it was, Navy SEALs rehabilitation gym that they were opening. she's like, Harry, calling him like a dog, and he's like, no. And then she positions herself right in front of it, so her face is there.
Yeah.
Right in front of him, like she's the most... I don't think she realises at all stage management.
How can you mess up that badly? You've made it into the royal family, which is as high as it gets, really. And then, you'd think she'd want to say, right, what do we wear? Okay, where do I stand? What do we have to do? Don't just get out of my way, get out of my way, Queen. I'm going into that room first. Do you know who I am?
Yeah, I know. But you, at the time, I'm going back a few years there, and I was explaining to you earlier, I used to be on my exercise bike in the living room, and I'd be watching Murky Taz and Wally. And I remember Wally covering that particular episode, and I think you'd sort of wandered back and forth, and you were like, I can't see what the big deal is. I don't care, what's she doing? And now it's taken you a few years, you can now see.
Well, if it was a proper occasion, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I just thought they were all milling round. I thought it was like a casual
thing,
occasion. But, if it was a casual occasion, it'd be different, wouldn't it? But apparently it wasn't. And they do have a pecking order in the royal family, and people do go first and second and third and fourth.
I think you'll find, Graham, most families have a pecking order. If there was a family event, I don't know, a family feud, a family wedding, and you had a member of the family who just had to do that, had to walk down the aisle in front of the bride. Or walk down the aisle in front of the bride and groom as they're leaving, going, look at me, look at me, look at me. That would be awkward, wouldn't it? I think most families would think, get to the fucking back. What are you doing? What the hell are you doing?
Or standing in front of the bride for the pictures. Imagine the family photos.
Every single page, there's the face.
The Richter's grin.
And then there's the other one of her years ago where she was in some sort of blue outfit, really marching ahead of Harry. I remember Taz covering that one. And there were so many people back in those days having a go at all of us in our community, saying, oh, you're just haters, you're bitches. Well, now I think a lot of people are beginning to see it. Even Harry.
Well, the nub of the whole thing is, I think we were right, everybody. I think they're skins. I think she's chomped her way through his bank account like a Pac-Man. And they've gone, uh-oh.
Put yourself in Charles's shoes, right, just for a minute. How is he going to cope if Harry is absolutely skint? A lot of people would say, well, he made his bed lay in it. But from the point of view of the royal family now, I'll bring you back to the Two EDS. Remember the Two EDs?
Grey Gardens or something, wasn't it?
I remember sitting you down and I put the documentary on it. I love the Two EDs, right? I'm not laughing at them at all. I don't know if you guys know who it is. I'll come to it. I put these two women on this 1980s, 70s documentary, and you actually said to me, are these people acting or are they for real? And I said, no, they're for real. And they are the aunt and cousin of Jacqueline Bouvier Kennedy Onassis. Now, of course, she was fabulously rich. And it hit the newspapers that this aunt and cousin of hers were living, I'm pretty sure they were eating cat food. They called it pate, but they seemed...
What was it was the Hamptons, is it the Hamptons?
Yes, I think the house is in the
really
Hamptons.
Really posh part of New York, isn't it, I think? Big mansions, and her husband had left her with the mansion, and the money had run out and the place became overgrown. And they made the best of it, I suppose, the two old dears could do, but...
The garden was all overgrown, and I mean, Jackie came under criticism. How could you let your aunt live like that? How could you let... And I think Onassis and her did pay to have the house cleaned up. But I mean, I don't know if she knew that was happening. So that's what Charles is thinking. That's his worst nightmare. That he's going to end up with the Two EDs. You know, what's going to happen if Meghan and Harry are skint? Is he going to get a job at McDonald's?
But they could sell the big fabulous mansion and buy an apartment somewhere, couldn't they? That's more suited to their life. I mean, what do they even own the Montecito? Or did they rent it? What's the deal? Because they tell so many lies. Nobody knows what's really going on. And do they even have any children? And again, that's brought into question, isn't it? Because nobody knows for sure, do they? the
Isn't
truth.
it
There's just
strange,
so many lies. It's a web of lies.
Isn't it strange that you have doubt that they have children, and a lot of people have doubt of that, a lot of people have doubt of where they live, and yet we've all been invited to learn so much about Tiaragate from Harry and Meghan. Don't you find that odd that they're happy to share infinite detail about tights and tiaras and flower girls? But lots of people have doubt if there are children. Are they their children? Where do they live?
They've got to the point where you just don't believe anything that they say. Nothing.
It's an extraordinary story. They're going to make a big movie out of this one day. You know that, don't you? And I mean, I would watch that.
It's bizarre that someone can just mess everything up so badly, isn't it?
It's interesting.
I mean, when you've got it made, you don't have to do anything or say anything.
Yeah.
All you've got to do is smile and turn up and shake a few hands and go away, and that's it. You're made for life. And you'd have all the best of everything. But how could you mess that up?
Well, just rewind and watch what they did. Ken, in my comments, who quite often makes very interesting comments, noticed in that article about him being in debt, it says, the insider says, it would be utterly embarrassing if they were to be thrown out of the family a second time, implying that they were thrown out the first time. I mean, they sort of run the spin, they were driven out. There's driven out and there's thrown out. And I'm pretty concrete on it. They were thrown out.
Freedom.
They were thrown out.
Yes, I believe they were thrown out.
Which explains why they want an apology.
Which is why they won't get back in, will it? Because with the Windsors, when you're out,
Yeah.
generally speaking, you're out. And you ain't never coming back. I can see him coming back. Divorced.
Sort of coming back.
Sort of, in disgrace, but I can't see him and her coming back ever. They'll just get booed. They get booed everywhere they are.
Oh, it'd be too awkward for words.
And the royal family don't want royals getting booed. Right? That's not what they want at all. Not at all.
I'm really enjoying these comments.
Let's just suppose for one fraction of a nanosecond that it's all true. Isn't it a perfect time for a divorce? Because then they'll owe 14 million each. You won't have to give her any money in a divorce settlement. Anyway, unless you want to add something else, darling.
No, I'm reading these comments because they're fascinating and most amusing.
Most amusing.
Basically, nobody's buying it. People can believe the debt bit, but they're not buying the bit about they're going back as working royals.
I don't believe for 1 minute that he owes 28 million. I think they're trying to fleece the king for a bailout to the tune of 28 million. Maybe he'll give him half or something, but don't tell anyone. You know, you don't know what goes. Financial affairs of the royal family are just like not shared with the public. That's all. We can only guess, can't we? That's my guess. I think she's eaten all his money away. He's skint. He's down to his last million, and she's just released this as a puff piece, hoping for a bailout at best. There's no way she's getting back in, is there? I don't think.
No.
I would be very, 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 very surprised.
Well, I'd be finished with a lot of them. The final thing I would say is don't forget, it was her PR who referred to the Buckingham Palace balcony as a veranda. And I will never forget that they used that phrase. How bloody rude.
Because you know if Meghan got her way, she'd build her own apartment behind that balcony so she could come out with a coffee every morning and wave to everyone. She would. You know she would. I'm
Feels
right.
like we're mocking the afflicted. We must stop.
Well, the king can build another balcony over there in the corner.
A veranda.